Welcome to Concept Craft. We are presenting step-by-step videos training to crack your certification exam, so you can gain the confidence to take on any accounting challenge. Now let's begin our today's lesson. Getting the most out of cash basis and expense reports. Learning outcomes. In this lesson, we'll cover: utilize cash basis and expense reports in QuickBooks Online. Topics: cash basis reports, cash basis reports and unapplied cash, reviewing expense and purchase reports, getting the most out of reports. Clients are likely to understand how cash basis reporting differs from accrual basis, but they may not understand the specific mechanics of how QuickBooks Online produces reports to present cash basis data for clients. The same could be said for reports based on accounts versus those based on items. How can you and QuickBooks Online help? As a pro advisor, you can help clients understand what cash basis, expense, and purchase reports show and give them the tools to gain a full understanding of the business's point-in-time financial position. In this lesson, we'll look at some principles of cash basis reports and how to choose the best expense report in QuickBooks Online. Cash basis reports. One of the real benefits of QuickBooks Online is that you and your clients can run both cash and accrual basis reports from the same set of books. QuickBooks Online creates cash basis reports by omitting unpaid accounts receivable, A/R, and accounts payable, A/P, transactions. Select the tabs to learn more about the main types of cash basis reports. Balance sheet, profit and loss, credit card accounts. Balance sheet. On a cash basis balance sheet, the A/R and A/P balances should always be zero. Any open bills or invoices that use a balance sheet account on the distribution or target line aren't reflected in the target account balance. One example is if a client created a bill to record the purchase of a fixed asset like equipment, or to pay the principal portion of a loan. Another example is if a client used an invoice to record a deposit or prepayment on a job or used items mapped to an asset account, such as inventory or work in process. The cash basis balance sheet would not account for these transactions in the asset/liability account or the A/P or A/R account. Profit and loss. Only income received and expenses paid appear on a cash basis profit and loss statement. The statement doesn't include amounts in the distribution lines for unpaid bills or invoices. QuickBooks Online uses the paid status on a transaction, as of the reporting period, to determine whether to include the transaction in the cash basis report. Credit card accounts. QuickBooks Online treats transactions in a cash basis environment where a business records credit card activity to a credit card liability account as if they were paid by cash. It does not reverse the entries like the A/P account. The cash basis balance sheet shows a balance in the liability account, and the expenses paid by the credit card are included in the cash basis profit and loss. In fact, a good way to remember this is to realize that the profit and loss will always include an expense-type transaction regardless of the report's basis, cash or accrual. However, a bill will always be reversed on a cash basis profit and loss. Cash basis reports and unapplied cash. Unapplied customer payments. When your clients record a customer payment via the receive payment screen and don't apply it to an invoice, the cash basis profit and loss will report it as unapplied cash payment income. In these cases, QuickBooks Online debits accounts receivable, A/R, and credits unapplied cash payment income. Unapplied bill payments. Similarly, if there's no bill associated with the bill payment transaction, or if an expense or check is posted to accounts payable, the cash basis profit and loss will report this as unapplied cash bill payment expense. In these cases, QuickBooks Online debits unapplied cash bill payment expense and credits accounts payable, A/P. More information about unapplied cash accounts. The unapplied cash payment income and unapplied cash bill payment expense accounts can't be adjusted. Like the retained earnings account, QuickBooks Online uses them behind the scenes to adjust the A/R and A/P accounts to zero. If you were to drill down into the cash basis profit and loss to any of the unapplied cash accounts, open a transaction, and run a transaction journal, you wouldn't see the account in the report. The transaction date impacts cash basis reporting too. If a customer payment is received earlier than the invoice date, the payment is shown as unapplied cash payment income when the report is generated for a date before the invoice date. Also, the inventory adjustment to COGS is not recorded in this report because the invoice records it, and the report is dated earlier than the invoice. The same is true for a bill payment that is dated earlier than the bill it is applied to, and the cash basis profit and loss is dated sometime between the bill payment and the bill date. In that case, the bill payment is shown as unapplied cash bill payment expense. What happens when your client enters a bill to reduce the credit card liability account? When your client enters a bill to reduce the credit card liability account, and the bill hasn't been paid, then when they run cash basis reports, QuickBooks Online displays the amount of the bill in unapplied cash bill payment expense instead of reversing it against the credit card liability account. If your client files taxes on a cash basis, they'll need to make an adjustment outside of QuickBooks Online for the relevant amount to be reflected correctly on the tax return. If this happens often, you may want to advise your client to leave the amount owed in the credit card liability account rather than create a bill. That way, there will be no reversal against unapplied cash bill payment expense. Reviewing expense and purchase reports. One of the advantages of using product and service items on expense transactions is that it allows clients to run item profitability reports. However, using items on expense transactions can also affect which type of report they'll use to get the information they need. Expense reports are based on accounts, and purchase reports are based on items. Select the headings to find out more about the three main expense and purchase reports and how they compare. The Purchases by Vendor Detail Report. This report only includes transactions where a product and service item was entered on the distribution line instead of an account. If your client wants to know how much they spent with a specified vendor, this report won't be accurate if your client, or you, ever entered purchase transactions and posted them directly to accounts. This report also includes transactions coded to both balance sheet, such as inventory asset, or profit and loss, such as job cost expense, accounts as long as the items in these purchase transactions were mapped to those accounts. The Expenses by Vendor Summary Report. The Expenses by Vendor Summary Report shows vendor activity posted only to expense accounts, even when a product and service item was used. It doesn't feature amounts posted to a balance sheet account. For instance, it won't reflect purchases of fixed or other assets or payments against the loan's principal portion. The Transaction List by Vendor Report. The Transaction List by Vendor Report lists all transactions related to vendors, whether posted via account or item. The report includes bills, bill payments, and non-posting transactions such as purchase orders. As there are no totals and all types of transactions are included, you or your client can export the report to Excel and work with it there to extract meaningful summary information. Comparing expense and purchase reports. Note that comparing all of the reports listed here to each other won't necessarily give your client the same totals because they can each be made up of different transactions. Summing up. Learning outcomes. Well done. In this lesson, we covered: utilize cash basis and expense reports in QuickBooks Online. Knowledge recap. You can now help your clients deal with cash basis reports and choose the best expense reports to address their needs. Next steps. In the next lesson, we'll cover how to create scheduled reports.